Sofia Milos, ciao a tutti, and today we're going to make caponata. That is an Italian, actually Sicilian recipe. And the ingredients we will need are 2 red peppers. I like to get them pretty firm. Eggplant. If they're bigger, you only need 2. If they're small ones, like this, I'll use 4. Now with the eggplants, you want to get them pretty firm. Once they start to wilt, they're going to be a little bit more bitter. But even then, there is a solution. You want to cut them in pieces, slices, thick slices, and put some salt on it. Put a little weight over it for about a half an hour and let it spurgare, we say. Let the bitterness come out. And then, of course, rinse the salt off and pat them dry, and then it'll be ready to use, okay? I find that the Japanese eggplants are more similar to what we have in Italy, which is a little bit less seedy, and the less seeds, the less bitterness. We need a couple of tomatoes. You can also use some Marzano, a canned tomato, maybe half a cup. It doesn't have to be too much tomato, just to give it a little color and blend everything together, yeah? So you can use Roma tomatoes, peel them so you won't find the skin, 2 stalks of celery, some Italian flat leaf parsley, an onion, pinoli, pine nuts, sea salt, Celtic salt or Himalayan salt are my favorite, of course. We'll need for this recipe some apple cider vinegar. The original recipe calls for some sugar, half a teaspoon of sugar. I'd like to use some agave or honey, whatever you have. You can do it with raisins. I'm going to use currants because I like it. They're just a little bit smaller. And yes, the recipe is sort of a sweet and sour. It's as close as of a sweet and sour recipe we have in Italy. And of course, extra virgin olive oil. Now you can eat this alone with some toasted bread. Caponata is just delicious at room temperature, so you can prepare the night before for your guests, for yourself. It will be good in the refrigerator for a couple of days if it lasts that long. Or you can put it next to fish or meat. You can put it next to some polenta. I'm going to make it on some spaghetti squash today. So what you'll do is you cut them in half, put a little salt, a little pepper. Well, of course, take the seeds out first, right? Salt, pepper, a little bit of olive oil, drizzle it. We're going to cover it up and put it in the oven for about 50 minutes. You know, something this big for about 50 minutes at 350, because you want the spaghetti squash to come loose, but not to be overcooked. And then we can put the caponata on top of it. So let me show you how the spaghetti squash should look like. All right, so after you put some sea salt, some pepper, a little olive oil, we're going to cover up, this is how this looks. We're going to cover up the spaghetti squash. This is now not part of the caponata. It's just something I'm going to serve it with, and it's delicious together. So you can put it for 350 for about 50 minutes, 45 minutes if it's smaller in the oven, okay? Once the skin starts to be tender, you'll know it's done. Don't get it burnt. So we'll chop up the onion first. Okay, so we'll put some olive oil at the bottom of the pan. Then we'll add the onion. Okay, then we're going to clean 2 stalks of celery. The best way is just take it from the back here and then chop it down thinly. You'll add the celery to the onion and the oil. All right, so we're going to wash the bell peppers. For color, you can add some yellow pepper as well. I opt to do 2 red peppers today. So we'll wash them, cut it across, half, get all the seeds out, and we're going to cut them in small chunks. Not too little, because once they cook and become tender, you know, you don't want it to be a total mush. Also with the 2 stalks of celery, the onion, I want to add a little bit of carrot, just because anytime in an Italian kitchen you put onion, celery, we usually add some carrot. We call that rosolato. It makes it a little sweet base for anything you're going to cook. Let's put it over a medium-high heat, and we're going to add a little cirasella, peperoncino rosso, cirasella della nonna, which of course, for you who have been following my recipes, is my grandmother's peperoncino. Very spicy, very hot. Don't apply makeup right after. No, 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 no. Very hot. Okay, so we'll put, especially the seeds, just a little bit in. Make it just a little hot. Then you want to take, you can do this recipe without olives if you are allergic. I've done it without olives. I love it just as much. Today I'm going to do it with some olives. The original Sicilian recipe calls for olives. So Caponata, black olives, take the pit out, chop them finely and add it to the mixture. You can add the red peppers as well. We're going to add the tomatoes. Keep it at medium heat. Let's add some salt. How much? Occhio e croce. I don't know, that much. Now, in the caponata, you normally fry the eggplant. But if you want to keep it healthy, you're not going to fry, you're going to cook it together. I am going to just give it a little quick spin in some olive oil. But normally, the original caponata, like the original eggplant parmigiana, is fried. But I promise you, it is just as delicious if you don't fry it. So you're going to cut the eggplant in little cubes. Okay, so in another pan, I'm going to put some olive oil and just, not really fry, but saute the eggplant separately at really high heat before I add them to my other vegetables. Okay, the oil is hot. We're going to put the eggplants in. Keep the eggplants at high. Let's add a little bit of salt as well to the eggplant. Because we have the olives in it, make sure you're not over salting it. You can always taste towards the end and see if you want some more apple cider vinegar, which we're going to add towards the end, or salt, okay? Okay, so while this is simmering on medium-low heat with the olives, the onion, the celery, some peperoncino, and the cubed peppers, we're going to put the eggplant in a little bit of oil, sea salt, until they become just a little translucent, and we're going to add them over there, okay, on high heat. See when they start to get a little, well, you'll see it, not yet. Like that, all around. Okay, this is how it should look. And let's bring it over to the vegetables that have been simmering. And mix it all together. The parsley. Look at those Italian colors coming around. All right, we're going to add a little bit of liquid. All right, bring up the heat to medium, add a little bit of water, add 1 teaspoon of agave, or a small teaspoon, and let it cook for another 15 minutes before tasting for salt. All right, we're going to add some currants, about, you know, una manciata, we say. Then let's add some pine nuts. How much? About that much. All right, so the caponata, the Sicilian caponata, is done. Looks delicious, it smells incredible. It will last in the refrigerator for a couple of days, if it lasts. So you can eat it alone, you can put it next to fish, meat, spaghetti squash. I've chosen to put in the 2 halves of spaghetti squash. They've been in the oven for about 50 minutes. Okay, so we're going to scrape them out. So I'm going to put this caponata right on top of my spaghetti squash. I got pine nuts, I got olives, I got little currants in here. Why don't I just tell you? Buon appetito!